Joss Whedon and his wife are unfortunately divorcing after 16 years of marriage. Now, that's not something that we typically talk about on the show, but the issue of feminism came up because Whedon has gotten a lot of recognition for his role of being what he refers to as a male feminist, right? Now, his soon-to-be ex-wife, Kai Cole, is irritated with the fact that he continues to take on that title, considering the fact that they're divorcing because of his infidelity. So really the topic of discussion here is someone able to be a quote unquote feminist if he is mistreating the woman in his life, okay? So Kai Cole wrote this piece in The Wrap, an op-ed about her experience, and I wanna give you a little portion of it just so you kind of get where she's coming from and then we can have a discussion. She writes that 15 years later, 15 years after they were married, when he was done with our marriage and finally ready to tell the truth, he wrote me, "When I was running Buffy, I was surrounded by beautiful, needy, aggressive young women. It felt like I had a disease, like something from a Greek myth. Suddenly, I'm a powerful producer and the world is laid out at my feet and I can't touch it." But he did touch it. So let me give you a little bit more. She writes, "When he walked out of our marriage and was trying to make things seem less bewildering to me to help me understand how he could have lied to me for so long, he said, in many ways, I was the height of normal in this culture. We're taught to be providers and companions at the same time, to conquer and acquire, specifically sexually, and I was pulling off both." Let's open up this discussion.
Okay, so this is a super uncomfortable discussion to have.
Absolutely.
First of all, it's about their personal lives. And in a sense, I wish we weren't discussing it at all because it's between them. And her being super mad at him after 15 years of cheating on her is completely understandable. He put out a very brief statement saying, look, some of the comments in her editorial were misleading, but I'm just gonna leave it at that for the sake of the kids and everyone else, which is understandable. So take everything that's anyone says in a divorce with a grain of salt on both sides, because I've seen people say terrible, terrible things, and sometimes they're not exactly right when they say that. The reason to have the discussion is because it's an important and interesting issue. Can you still be a feminist if you're cheating on your wife? As an example. And I think the answer is yes. And I think that she says she's the last kind of person to have made this public, but she felt she needed to. Okay, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why I know why you thought you needed to. Whether you actually needed to is a different question. And I'm trying desperately not to judge them as people, as to whether she should have put this editorial in or not, he should have cheated on her or not.
Yeah.
My inclination is neither one of them should have done that, but that's not that important.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into that, right? She made the decision to write the piece, she did it, and it is what it is. He allegedly cheated on her, and I don't even want to get into the details of that. I don't care. And I don't think it should be, something that people get involved in and start judging people for. But I do think that it is an interesting question as to whether or not someone can be considered a so-called feminist if he is cheating on his wife. And so, look, it's a tough question, right? Because she outlines some of the emotional trauma she suffered as a result of this. And so it seems like it would be impossible for someone to be a feminist if they're mistreating a woman. But at the same time, here's the thing, infidelity is one of the top reasons why people divorce. It happens all the time, and it happens among average people in average relationships. This is a celebrity, someone who's very closely connected to the entertainment world, and he's a man who has power. So of course there are gonna be people that are gonna be throwing themselves at him, and I think a lot of men in those circumstances at some point might make the mistake of cheating, right? And so I don't wanna go overboard and like judge him and whatever, but the reality is, yeah, people cheat. Like the idea of monogamy is a great idea, but are we as humans built to be monogamous for the rest of our lives with the same person? So I don't think that his feminism is necessarily closely tied to his relationship. I think you can be a feminist and mess up time to time, and I think he messed up pretty royally, but I don't want to say that like anything that he's done in fighting for gender equality is now out the door because of the fact that he cheated.
Yeah, I think there's two issues here. One is around monogamy and feminism. The other one's about how we judge people overall in society. So on that first issue that Anna just addressed, I'm with you, Anna. Look, monogamy is a hell of a thing, and I feel really lucky and have great peace of mind that I have not cheated on my wife. So I don't have the stress, nor have I put stress on her, of having to tell lie after lie and for 15 years figure out, wait, was I supposed to say that? Was I supposed to say this, etc. But when other people do it, I don't judge them for it. I mean, are you guys sure we're all meant to be monogamous? You're really sure of that? And so to me, that transgression is, I'm not trying to downplay it because it involves heartbreak.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right, I mean, and a ton of emotions, rightfully so, and deceit, right? But it is one of the most common human foibles there is. I don't think you take away everything else that a person's ever worked for based on that. I mean, my absolute role model, hero, is Martin Luther King. There's a good deal of evidence that he was not monogamous. So does that mean he shouldn't get credit for the civil rights era? That's insane. There's good evidence FDR was not perfectly monogamous. Does that mean he shouldn't get credit for uplifting hundreds of millions of Americans through the programs that he did?
Look,
that's insane.
There's no such thing as a perfect human, and we're all flawed. We all have our vices, and I'm not making excuses for what happened, but I will say that if we judge people based on their worst actions and then we just use that as our outlook on them, then no one is gonna have a positive, reputation. Everyone has their negative moments that they're embarrassed by or humiliated of. So there's that. But the one thing that I do want to call him out on, if it's true, because remember, this is her perspective and this is her side. The only thing that he said is, even though there are a few inaccuracies here, I'm not gonna respond to it because out of respect, right? But the one thing that she accuses him of is blaming his infidelity on the patriarchy. Essentially saying like, oh, but society expects all of this of men, and because of these expectations, I faltered. If he really made those excuses, come on.
Yeah.
Really, you're gonna blame the patriarchy on that?
No. I'm 1000% with Anna on this one. Look, dude, just leave it alone, right? So again, people say terrible things in a divorce and I don't know exactly what's true or not true. But if he said that, that's a preposterous statement. No, you did it because you were horny. Don't give me this crap about patriarchy and how it was the expectations that were, no, the expectations came from your genetic makeup. It's not, so there maybe I'm not as liberal or progressive as other folks where it's, oh, the patriarchy sets the society. To some degree it does, no question about that. And so do our genetics. And our genetics are not perfectly monogamous. So you don't have to get into the patriarchy to excuse your adultery. That's crazy talk. Now, finally, on the second part of the conversation, which is how much should we judge people? Because one of the requests she's making is that he shouldn't get awards anymore for feminism or anything. But he did do those things. He did do those positive things. And he did put out positive images in the media. And so, no, I mean, look, there are lines. So Roman Polanski, rape, underage girl, ran from the law, etc. You don't want to give Roman Polanski awards? I get it, right?
Yeah, I want to prosecute Roman Polanski.
That's right, what we mainly want to do is prosecute him. We can figure out about his awards later once he's in prison. But if we keep going down that ladder, we say, okay, now take away the awards for this, and that person shouldn't get recognized for the good works that he did because of X, Y, Z. We're all going to be eliminated.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about you at your worst, and having the entire world know about that, and then having that be like what people use to judge your entire character. I mean, it's unfair. We're all incredibly flawed, myself included. You're flawed. You're super flawed. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think relationships are hard. Marriage is hard. I feel terribly for her because I could imagine being in a situation like that and feeling completely heartbroken by it. But again, you at your worst is not representative of who you are as a person.
Yeah, and look, I don't want anybody to mistake what I'm saying because I am heartbroken for her. It's the same thing that I criticized Bill Clinton for. Look, he shouldn't have been impeached for it, but the lies that he made up, just one, it kind of, in Clinton's case, it attacked the women that he had slept with pretending they were crazy. But when you continue to lie for all those years to your own spouse, it makes her feel like she's the crazy one. And,
yep.
Right? And when in reality, she was right all along. So I'm not minimizing the pain of that. I'm just saying if we get into that, then there's no getting out. Then because we're all human, and I like the new superhero title that Anna gave me. I'm super flawed. Okay, so I mean, look, I'll give you a super benign example. If all you ever saw of me was, luckily no one videotaped this, was an argument that I had with Steve-O on a basketball court, where the police, we were so loud the police had to come.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's literally true, okay? You would think that guy's absolutely mental, but that's not the totality of me. I hope that's a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of my life and my character overall. So, I mean, it's the oldest thing in the book, right? We all live in glass houses. So let's be a little bit careful where we throw those stones. If you like this video, you'll love the whole TYT network. Check it out at tytnetwork.com/join.